Introduce myself, Reverend Mary Mitchell, and a lot of people are out for the holidays, so here I am, and Jennifer, you're here. We don't have a bookstore person. I don't know if you might be available, but I couldn't get the safe open either, so there's no money in the cash register, but hey, we'll figure that out. But it's one of those days. On Mickey Mouse, they used to call it an anything can happen day. So you're here, and I'm happy about that. You know, 2014 is coming up very quickly. Do you remember 2000? Do you remember when it came to the year 2000? My mother always said, I want to live to 2000. And of course she did. Because 2000 was what we were supposed to have, satellites falling out of the sky, and all of our computers would crash, and there would be chaos in the streets. And people really believed in that. I know people who stored lots of food because there was going to be no food. So it was a deeply held faith that things were going to go very bad in 2000. And here we are 14 years later. I don't know about you, but my life's been pretty good. It's been really pretty good. But it's funny how people can have faith in the worst expectations, in just the worst. So I ask you, what about 2014? What do you have faith in? It would be easy to have faith in a drought. It's not going to rain yet, it hasn't rained yet. It would be easy to have faith that the economy might not hold up as well as it has been holding up. And you might have faith that, yeah, I'm going to have more aches and pains because I'm going to be a year older. You might have faith that there really isn't enough and there'll be even less for everyone. There may be faith that I don't know if I'll have insurance in the new year. So there's all kinds of faith going on out there. But I encourage you to think about what you're putting your faith in. Because it's important to carve out more time for positive faith in the new year. It really is. This is a time for deep introspection into what we are preparing ourselves for. Because as we prepare ourselves for a drought or less than or problems or issues, they're obviously more likely to show up. Something greater than ourselves is something good to have faith in, and Peter and I were just talking about that. What do I have faith in? What is this greater something? Is it important to have faith in something? Well, you have faith in your chair. You have faith that the electricity is going to stay on while we're here. You have faith that it's probably not going to rain today. So we have all kinds of faith, but what is most important? And I think the most important thing is to recognize that we are not this body, that the infinite intelligence of the universe that created us knew what it was doing and created you, just like it's creating galaxies in the universe. I mean, how special is that? So we really want to have faith, and I think most of us do, that that is true, that we are special, that we're here for a greater purpose, and that we're approved, we're stamped with the seal of approval by God. You are stamped okay. You know, sorrow is one of those things that often brings people to the center. They walk in very sad. It's like, I've got to find a place where I can heal this sorrow. And this is the perfect place, because we just wrap you with love. And we know through this teaching, you'll work your way through that. We don't have to tell you what to think or what to do. We just have to love you. And things change. Dr. Holmes wrote that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. It's a mental attitude that is so embedded in us that we can no longer deny that we have faith. It's a belief in the presence of an invisible principle that directly and specifically responds to us. Now, I was lucky this week. I've had my Toyota 4Runner since 2007. Love that truck. Love it, love it. And I love it. But it's been getting miles on it, over 100,000. And Paul, anytime it gets near 90, he goes and gets a new car. I love my 4Runner. I love my 4Runner. So the other day, he went into town and came back. He says, I need to show you something. So he takes me to Lithia Motors. And we have now a new 2013 Highlander with 34 miles on it. And so I was really surprised I didn't need a new vehicle, but it's so fun to have one. They smell, that smell. It's such a great thing, and it's silver. Never had a silver vehicle before. But it was wonderful that something in me knew, one of these days I've got to get a new vehicle. And Paul, always on the outlook for a bargain, the end of the year bargains, picked up on that, and without even asking me, just said, hey, look, here's what we can do, and it's a heck of a deal. So my 4Runner's going into good hands. I said, how many 4Runners do you have on your lot that are used? He said, none. It's probably already sold. It's a great car. Anyway, so that was interesting faith that I always know whenever I need a vehicle, I've got a vehicle. And now I have a new one. So it's exciting. So there's this operating system in the universe, and it listens to our faith. Not so much what we're speaking, but what we're believing. And it operates on law. And so it sees what it is we're thinking and believing, and the energy in the universe attracts like energy, and things happen. So it's an operating system that applies to us using principles, which we call it a principle, but it's really a law. But it requires our cooperation consciously or unconsciously, and that's the trick. We're really partners with God in this life experience, but we can choose to be an inactive partner and not pay attention to what we have faith in. I was reading Deepak Chopra's book, The Book of Secrets. It's a couple years old, but a fabulous book. And in chapter 7, he compares universal principles to life experiences. And it's really a good thing. It was really good for me to read. For example, one universal principle is the universe is a mirror of God's consciousness. Now, I love to go to the Hubble website. I don't know if you do, but they have the deep space pictures. And it's just so awe-inspiring, So the universe is a mirror of God's consciousness, and you are that too. But the personal impact of that principle is we're all created by the One, and the events in our life mirror our consciousness. The events in our life mirror our consciousness, whether we're awake to it or not. That could be good news or bad. I don't know. For me, it's good news because I'm always trying to pay attention to what I'm thinking and believing. And this principle I saw at Christmas Eve here, if you were here. It was so beautiful. It was almost mystical, the candle lighting service. Some people said it was one of the best ever. I think so too. It was full of that love and that light. So this week after the Christmas service, what kind of caught your eye? What caught your attention as you were busying yourself during the holidays? What caught your attention? Because what catches our attention is something that we should pay attention to. And yet we can get very busy and go, oh, I just don't have time for that. Don't have time for that. So it's always important to look what is catching our attention, because if we don't like what's catching our attention, we can change it by using principles just as God in the universe does. Another one Chopra said is that as human beings, throughout humanity, we have this collective consciousness. It's an awareness. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to communicate with you. We have this awareness. Now, it's also we call it race consciousness. It has nothing to do with race, but it just means the race of humanity has a consciousness. And we pick up on that. And we can pick up on that like in 2000, the satellites falling out of the sky, and embed that in our life and have fear instead of a feeling of security. So being aware of humanity's consciousness is also very important in this teaching. And for the personal impact, the people in our life also reflect our consciousness. Now, in holidays, that's the best time to see who's in our life. And I hear you laughing. Good or bad, there are people that we just love to be with and people we just will be with for the day or whatever. But it reflects our consciousness. It's very interesting. When Heather Hennessy was here talking a couple Sundays ago, she said, you have got the most wide array of age groups in your congregation, where at First Christian it was a lot of older people. She said, I'm so impressed. And I thought, I'm impressed that she was impressed, because I don't think of it. I just think of it as us, all of us together. So that was interesting because we're all wearing a mask. We all have this mask which looks like our life. And when we take all the masks away, we're all just individual souls, just this pulse of energy in the universe. But the mask is interesting because every one of us is different. Every one of the, 4 billion people on Earth is different. It's really the most incredible thing that so much can be so different and yet be the same. So the people we have around us that we intensely love show us that higher awareness in us. And the people that are around us that prove to us that we really don't like their personalities, they show us our worst fears about ourselves. So they're all teachers to us. They're all teachers. Throughout humanity, the people we have around us are teachers. And so when we see that, we can say, is that my deepest fear? To be that obnoxious? Or that rude, or that impractical, whatever. So we're all learning from each other. Here's another universal principle. The universe continues to expand and evolve. On a personal impact, whatever you pay attention to is going to expand and evolve. So on the universal, we know the universe is expanding, that upward spiral. And in 2014, are you expanding and evolving? Sometimes I take a piece of paper when I'm talking with someone who comes in for treatment, and I draw the spiral. And I said, let's say we'll put a dot right here. That's you right now. Now, are you going to go with the nature of the universe and continue to grow? Or are you going to sit there? Because if you sit there, you're going to regress. It's our nature to expand and evolve. That's what the leadership of this center has in mind for everyone who comes here. Our desire is that we give you tools to increase your own knowledge, to increase your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, to have a sense of community like none you may have had before, to take classes. And, one of the workshops we do in class every now and then is say, okay, for this week, go home and 4 times a day, stop and write down what you've been focused on, what you've been thinking. And you're surprised. People come back and go, oh, didn't know I was thinking negatively about my job, so much during the day. It's a real awareness that sometimes what we're paying attention to is not in our best interest. So if you aren't aware, I offer you that exercise to become more aware that these things that come as a surprise, like you turn around and something happens, you go, where did that come from? But I bet if I sat with you for 15 minutes, we could figure it out. We could. Surprises are signs that we're not paying attention. The sentence, violence begets violence, love begets love. What are you paying attention to? Good question. Another universal principle is that the universe operates on love and law. Love is the pulse of God's energy. It's always there. But we often cover it up with surprises or not paying attention to what we're doing, not realizing that when we can uncover that energy, that love, it's always there. It never disappears. That's part of love and law of the universe. So how does that impact us personally? We realize that nothing is random. There are signs throughout your life. Go here, go there. Think this, think that. There are signs in your home of what you want to focus on. I love it when I go to someone's home and one whole wall is pictures of their family and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It's fun to look at that. So what is that family focused on? They're focused on intense love of family. Now, when you come to my house, you're going to see a bunch of rocks. And our housekeeper this week, she's so cute. She'll rearrange them and make them cuddle up and different things. It's really sweet. But these rocks mean a lot to me because I remember the place where I got them. I remember that that's really just energy sitting there in a rock, and it's beautiful, and it gives me comfort, it gives me serenity. And so look around this week at what you have around you that reminds you of something special about you, and honor that, be glad for that. It's really fun. That's what I love about seeing what other people think is important, and then seeing what other people don't think is important. We went to a Christmas party at a family's house they're very, 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 very busy, and you could tell that everywhere. The bed wasn't even made, and you had 30 people over to your house. It wasn't important to them. What was important is sitting down and talking with you, doing crafts with you, talking about good things. So their awareness of what was important was not as big as mine, but that's okay. But you could tell the love in that house. It was just palpable. Here's another principle. Physical laws operate efficiently using the path of least effort. Now, you want to say least resistance. No, the principle is using least effort. So our beliefs are going into the law, and we will receive the results with the least effort on the part of God. Because God always assumes what we're thinking about is really what we want, even if we go, I didn't mean to say it that way. I didn't mean to have it that way. But the point is that what the universe responds to us gives us the best results possible for what we're believing in. The best results possible. And you can always amp that up. You can always increase that by consciously looking at where your beliefs are, what you're believing in. The universe can only work with what we give it to work with. It has no other personality to say, oh, you didn't really mean that, did you? It has no choice but to respond to us. And so what's important for us is our belief, which we call cause, the law of cause and effect. Cause creates the effect using the principles of law in the universe. And so, Emma was right. We're all doing the best we can at every moment. But we can always do it a little bit better in areas that we want to do it better. So here's another principle. Through evolution, we develop survival traits that perfectly match our environment. Now, in 2014, there may be some beliefs in fear of economic collapse, all these different things, but if this is true, we have developed survival traits that perfectly match whatever's going to happen. We've been created for these times. I don't know what I did as a soul before, but I'm so glad to be here now, in this teaching now, in this position of interim co-pastor now. The ability to help people get clear is so powerful. It's so awesome. So we individually have the wisdom in us to handle any situation. We just need to call on it. We need to become aware of it. We need to become conscious of it. So if you have any brothers, sisters, cousins, children, grandchildren that seem to be off track, go to that. They have that too. The greatest gift you can give them is the knowledge that they too have the wisdom to handle any situation. It's so empowering. So here's a couple examples of negative and positive faith. You go to work tomorrow and the company says we're downsizing. And the mind says, I'm going to lose my job. How am I going to pay the bills? What am I going to do? Things could get really bad. I feel blindsided. Really negative faith. So let's reframe this in a positive faith. You go into work tomorrow and the company says they're downsizing. I'm surprised, but I know personally that it's for the best for me, that whatever is going to happen, it's going to be for the best. Down the road, in hindsight, I see it. It's going to be the best. Something better is going to come along. My life is unfolding to what is best for me because it's the law. I can't get hurt, my life's going to improve constantly with grace. Totally different approach. Is it hard sometimes? Yeah, but it can be done. It can be done. Another example, you're driving down Hartnell Avenue and you stop at the red light and someone rear ends you. Now, if it was my new car, I'd be really upset. In fact, that happened a couple years ago. Got my 4Runner. I had it for a week. Parked at Costco, and this lady comes along with a big Expedition trying to park beside me, and she scrapes the back panel on and I was like, I got out, I was speechless. I said, I've only had this car a week. She said, I hate this Expedition. I hate it. I told my husband, I hate it. So she gives me her license. We take it into the shop, and the guy at the shop is backing it in, and he scrapes the other left panel, the other panel. So I've got 2 scratches on a week-old car. All I had to do was laugh. I mean, you have to laugh about that. What's getting mad about that? But it could be that at a red light, if you stop and someone rear ends you, that you could say, I wonder why this happened. Let's see who this person is. Cars can be fixed. There's something here for me in this incident because nothing happens by chance. Wouldn't that be a lot more fun? Because the person who hit you probably was texting or something and is going, oh, holy cow. They're going to be so angry, and we're not angry, and we change somebody's life. It could be that simple. With that no blame attitude, there's a sense of security that we get deep down inside that nothing can hurt us. Nothing can totally shock us. Everything is on time, in time. It makes life so much easier. So when you go home today, take a look around you. What are some signs that you've put in your home to remind you of your true nature? It can be very humbling. And if you don't know, take some classes in the new year. This is where you learn the strength. You get the strength. You get the security to handle anything that happens in your life. Socrates said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And we agree with that big time here. Examine what's on your altar in 2014. And if you're like me that gets the oil changed in the car every 3,000 to 5,000 miles faithfully, so it's a good running car, be that good to yourself. Be that good to yourself. So I'd like to end with a reading from Science of Mind on page 526 called The Inner Light. The light of heaven shines through me and illumines my path. The light eternal is my guide and my protection. In that light, there is no darkness at all. It's a perfect light, shining from the altar of perfect love. O light and love within me, you are welcome. This light now shines through me and illumines the way in 2014, and so it is. Thank you. And now, this is funny. The ushers are preparing for the offertory. And we're preparing to sing I Am So Blessed, so please join together.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.
It's really fun when you have to remember all these different pieces to the pie of the 10:30 service, so we'll see how it goes. The talk is called The Altar of Faith. And here comes 2014. Big year. I never thought I'd have to write that. I just writing 2013, now 14. It's like, where did it go? Where did the time go? Do you remember 2000? My mother was determined to live to the year 2000, which she did. But do you remember how much fear there was? We were going to have satellites falling from the sky. Everybody's computer was going to blow up. We were going to have mass chaos, and people were hoarding food. And what an article of faith that was. Wow. I'm glad they couldn't make that come true. I'm really, really glad. But I'm surprised at how many people bought into it, bought into the fear, that their faith was in the worst of expectations. It's really something to consider. So the question is, what is on your altar of faith for this new year? Is it the economy's going to continue to get worse or better, or you're getting older, so there's going to be more aches and pains? Is there not going to be enough in some area of your life? Is that what you're having faith in? Because I invite you to think about that. If there's any area of your life where your faith is in lack, I encourage you to improve your spiritual studies, to come to classes, to read spiritual texts, to get in touch with the truth that God created all of this, and some of us are just don't have a good handle on it yet, on how we continue to co-create with that energy that powers the universe to create our life experience. So it might be time to put more positive faith in your life. Now, I'm not one to ask for a lot at Christmas, and Paul's not one either, because he buys whatever he wants when he wants it. So there's never anything I can get him. So our little Christmas tree, there's pretty blank. Till my brother sent me something. Good job, brother. But Paul went and got an oil change on his car, and he came home and he said, "Come with me." We go down to the Toyota dealer. He says, "What do you think of this?" Now, I love my 4Runner. I can pack that thing full of all kinds of stuff, shoes for souls, everything. And I love my 4Runner, but 108,000 miles, I wasn't too worried. But Paul, don't ever go over 100. So we came home with a brand new Highlander, Toyota Highlander, silver. It's all right. But to come home with a new car unexpectedly, when I knew somewhere down the road I'd have that experience, but it wasn't heavy on my mind. But what a nice thing to just accept it, to be positive about it, to be happy about it, to just enjoy it and think, isn't that an amazing thing? Not that I felt need or lack or anything. I try to be a pretty positive person because I'm preparing for the class on the mystics, and I've been working really hard to get there myself. So I've had some pretty good intentions. But this awareness, this acknowledgement that there's something greater than us is what links us all together, everyone here in this room anyway. That there is some power greater than ourselves, and we are part of that. We have been created by that. And for those of you that are new, our teacher, Ernest Holmes, calls God the thing itself, not the man in the sky, this energy, this presence that has created all of us. And really, a lot of people come to the center when they're really in deep sorrow or sadness. They find their way here. And we're not here to tell anybody how to live or what to do. We're just here to love you intently, and let you discover your true nature. Let you discover who you really are. Let you discover the pent-up love that your soul's been willing and yearning to express all this year. Ernest Holmes described faith as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith being a mental attitude so embodied that our mind can no longer deny we have faith. Now, if you don't know how much faith that you have, at least you have faith that the chair you're sitting in is going to hold you up. I'm glad of that. We had faith that the sun would come up this morning again, and it'll go down again. But are we having faith in a drought? That's another one we don't want to have faith in, that's for sure. So it brings us to the question of consciously being aware of what we have faith in. Because spiritually and scientifically, the law and the love of God, what we have faith in will manifest in our life in one way, shape, or form. It depends on the depth of our belief, the depth of our faith. If we have faith that the people we work with are jerks, boy, they are again. I've just proven to myself. If we have faith that, whatever it is, faith in something negative, faith in expectations of other people, that's a dangerous one because that never works. I expect you to be like I want you to be. Doesn't work. We're just here to love and learn and appreciate each other. So God is living through us at this moment. The thing we call God, this energy that created all, is living through us. That's how God understands itself, through us. And God's got a pretty handoff policy. It's called law. And the law is whatever you want, dear child, whatever you're focused on, whatever you're believing in, here it comes. No judgment. No judgment when we say life is crap. Ooh, don't say that. Don't say that. So we're partners with God in this experience. And it's really great. It really is. And if you want it to be greater, join me in the Mystics class or any of these other classes that we have, because there's always more to learn and to understand. I have a great library at home, and one of the books I pulled off the shelf this week was written by Deepak Chopra, and it's called The Book of Secrets. Fantastic book. And in chapter 7, he talks all about universal principles. And a principle is a law. It's something that doesn't change. It's like gravity. And so there are principles that work in our life, but then there's also love in our life. And then we have a principle, and we are knowingly or unknowingly using it and creating surprises in our life or a lot of wonderful gifts in our life. So here's one of the principles. The universe is a mirror of God's consciousness. Now, if you get on the website of the Hubble spacecraft and you look at their pictures of deep space, that just draws me in. The infinite intelligence, the magnificence of the universe. But guess what? Whether there's another nebula being created or not, your individual life is just as important as the creation of stars and other planets in this universe from God's eyes. How powerful is that? It's also a lot of responsibility. What do we do with this life that we've been given? So the universe is a mirror of God's consciousness. Personally, since we're created by God, the events in our life are mirrors of who we are. Good news or bad news? The events in our life are mirrors of who we are. Now, one of the things we teach here and what we do in classes is help you find out what's in here. Not our conscious mind, but what we've put in our subconscious mind that keeps driving our life either on track or off track. And so the events in our life reflect our deepest consciousness of our beliefs and understandings. Now, here at the center, I think Christmas Eve was a wonderful experience of our consciousness. It was almost mystical. Maybe it was just me, but other people felt that too. It was so beautiful. The music was so awesome. The candles, the singing, everything was just flowing perfectly. It was just a great experience of our collective consciousness in this community we call the center. But what is important is to pay attention of things that catch us, that we didn't notice. You ever just kind of go through life and something pulls you and you notice something that, like, I was on track somewhere else, I didn't notice this. What takes our attention, what pulls our attention is to be noticed. There's something there. There's a message there. I know years ago I was driving down Hilltop Drive, and I never pull into a gas station where I have to wait, ever. I'm going by Chevron there on Hilltop, and it's packed. And something said, pull in line, and I did. I'm sitting there going, I don't do this. All of a sudden, Remember phone booths? There's a phone booth behind the Chevron, and there's a lady on the phone, and she's hysterical. She's crying, and she's just hysterical. I went, oop, put her in park, go see what I can do to help. Her car had broken down at that Chevron station, and her little boy was at the splash place up on Lake Boulevard, expecting her to be there to pick him up. And she was petrified for his feeling of me being petrified that Mom didn't show up. I said, oh, come on, I'll take you up there. So I did. So that's the thing about paying attention. It doesn't always make sense, but somewhere in hindsight you go, oh, I see it now. I see it now. These things are happening every day to us. It's in our consciousness, of course. Another universal principle is that our conscious awareness is collective. If my consciousness couldn't speak to your consciousness, we couldn't communicate. So we're in this pool, this ether of consciousness where we can communicate with one another. And that also works without words. If you've ever walked into a group of people and went, not my kind, and walked out, or walked into a group of people and felt the love that you feel here when you come in. So it's a collective consciousness. But for the personal impact of that universal principle, the people around us reflect aspects of ourselves. Good news or bad news. The people around us reflect who we are. So when this comes about, we have to think, the people we intensely love reflect our love. But what about the people we don't like? What do they reflect? Our greatest fears. Our greatest fears. I sure wouldn't want to be a jerk like that guy. I sure wouldn't want to be so rude to that clerk. So the people that we intensely dislike have something in us that we're afraid, I hope I never do that. That's what the mind is saying. I hope I never do that. And that's a great awareness. That's a really great awareness. So the people we dislike show us where our fears are. And for that we can say, thank you. See you around. Don't need to be in your presence anymore. See you around. Another principle, the universe continues to expand and evolve. You know, it's still expanding. Sometimes when people come to me for prayer or whatever, I draw the spiral of the universe that's continuing to go up. And then I put a dot on it somewhere, and I said, this is where you're at, right? Let's just say this is where you're at on this big spiral. And if you are not growing, you're not going with the nature of the universe. And if you think you can sit still and not grow, you will regress. And believe me, you don't want to go there. You want to keep moving, you want to keep growing, and it's infinite, so we're never going to get there. But I hope to get far enough that I don't have to relive some of the experiences I've had in this lifetime. They weren't that bad, but I know a lot of experiences in this lifetime are not very pretty. But I bet if I could sit down with those people in 15 minutes, we'd find out something. We'd find out their deepest fear. We'd find out their horrendous judgment. We'd find out their expectations of other people that are totally unrealistic. We'd find something there that has kept them stuck or afraid to move forward. In the leadership here at the center, there are certain things we're focused on, and I think the biggest one is wisdom. We're here with knowledge brought down through the ages of all spiritual texts, through the greatest minds in the universe. And we have knowledge to share. We have wisdom. We have experience to share. And we have a sense of community. And the most important part of being in this community is to do selfless service to God. You know, we have 18 teams of people that keep this place going. The landscaping, the cleaning, the maintenance, the office, there are 18 different teams, the sound team, the ushers and greeters, and all of those people are so bonded in this community. It's a really beautiful experience to have. So in the new year, that might be a consideration for you, to spend an hour of a month with these type of people. And we have classes, of course. Now, one of the workshops in some of the classes, we ask you to go home and 4 times a day, stop and write down where your attention is. Where is your attention? What are you spending your attention on? And after about a week, it's very revealing, especially if you're a violence game nut, or you like to watch violence on TV, or You like to be in a crowd and complain or whatever, but to catch yourself just 4 times a day, where am I spending the valuable resources of my mind? It's very enlightening. It'd be a good thing to do in the new year. Because of this principle, whatever we pay attention to will grow and expand. Just like the universe. We're a mini universe. We're growing and expanding even if we're not paying attention. So by paying attention, we consciously become the guardians of our mind. We consciously stand at the portal of our mind and pay attention to what's going in there. Because what goes in, computers, garbage in, garbage out. The mind, the subjective mind, the subconscious mind. What goes in also comes out in one way, shape, or form. Another universal principle is the universe operates on law and love. Now, for us personally, that means nothing is random. Darn. It wasn't an accident. Darn. Nothing is random. It's built on the law of principles and the love. Now, love is an energy that is pulsing throughout the universe every second, every moment, because it's the nature of God. And we only tap into it when we open ourselves to it. So if by chance you don't feel you have enough love in your life, it's not because it went anywhere. It's just being covered up, like a light bulb being covered up by a lampshade. So here, the knowledge and wisdom that we offer is to open up and feel that love in greater areas in your life. Our interfaith garden is a beautiful place to see signs of spirituality. Because if nothing is random, there are signs and symbols all around us that are kind of hoping to catch our attention, hoping to guide us where we would be in a greater experience of life. And so our interfaith garden is like that, a lot of symbols of love, of life. Is every day all our thoughts are weaving a tapestry of our life. Weaving this tapestry. It's just quite an amazing thing when you look at it from God's eyes. Another principle, the physical laws operate efficiently using the path of least effort, not resistance, least effort. Least effort. When was the last time I efforted at something, used so much willpower, used so much determination to get something done and went crazy in the process? The universe says, ease and grace, ease and grace. Here's what you want, we're going to bring it with ease and grace. So in every moment, the universe is giving us the best results of our belief, the best results. And if you don't like it, we can change that. The best results, that's what we've got of our belief system. So what appears not to be working is really working. Good news or bad news. Another universal principle. Through evolution, we develop survival traits that perfectly match our environment. Personally, on a personal level, we have been created for these times. If you're lamenting the 50s and 60s like it's popular to do now, no, you were meant to be in this generation, in this time, at this place, in this moment in time where the world so much needs more love, more compassion. And because we've been created for this time, we've been given the wisdom to know how to do anything, to how to move through anything that's thrown at us. Anything that comes along, we have the inner wisdom. And I encourage you, if you have teenagers or brothers or sisters who seem to be off track, that's the greatest gift you can give them. You inherently have within yourself the wisdom to know how to handle every situation and do what's in your best interest, what's best for you. That is so empowering to a young person, that we trust them because they too are a soul on this path. So this precious human body is really a trip when you see it from God's eyes. We've got all this goodness, all this greatness, all this pure potentiality, and it's time to stop being asleep to it. So here's an example. How to change negative faith to positive. You go to work tomorrow, and someone at your work says, we're downsizing, we may have to close. And your mind immediately goes into, oh my God, I didn't see this coming. I may lose my job. How am I going to pay the bills? And on and on and on and on and on. But what if you go to work tomorrow and someone says, I think we're having to downsize, and you go, wow, that's amazing. But you know what? I believe there's something better in life for me. I trust in that. I trust in that power that I have within me, that God's given me, to know it's going to be okay. And then maybe you can help other people calm down in the fear of losing a job. But what does that do? It gives us a sense of security. We feel secure knowing we're never alone, we're loved, and we co-create with God to make this change very powerful into something best, because the universe always has our best interests in mind. Well, let's say when you leave here today, you go down to Hartnell and Victor and stop at the red light and someone rear-ends your car. Please, not my new one. Although that did happen when I got my 4Runner, just an aside. In Costco parking lot, I have my 4Runner. It's a week old. It's wonderful. And this big expedition comes. And I start laying on the horn, and she runs into the backside panel. And she gets out of the car. I'm speechless. I said, I've only had this car a week. She says, I hate my car. I hate this expedition. I just hate it, hate it, hate it. I told my husband I hate it. So anyway, she gave me her driver's license and took it into the shop to get it fixed. And the guy at the shop backs it into the wall and scratches the other back panel. And I went, I'll be darned. You can't, what can you say? You can't be mad. It's going to get fixed anyway. But it was just an amazing thing that I didn't harbor any ill will toward this poor lady, because I've driven an expedition and they're just monsters to drive. But that I was speechless, and I thought, that's good. That's good. That's a positive faith. We'll get this fixed. We'll get this fixed. And so, where are you placing your faith? Where is it? I encourage you to think about that a lot this week. Because sometimes things look like they're a surprise, but they're really not. They're really not. There's something in our interest in whatever seems to be a surprise. And it may be just a wake-up call. That may be what it is. So the gift of classes will help you through that, and we sure encourage that, because I don't know what I would have done without it in my life. Socrates said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And we totally agree with that, totally. That's why all our classes don't tell you what to do or how to do it. They seek to know what's in here. Little workshops to try and find out what is it that really is in there that's guiding my life that I haven't even paid attention to. And many times, it's what we call race consciousness. Now, it's not to do with race, it's to do with the human race. The human race has a consciousness from whatever's happening in the world, and sometimes we buy into it, like 2000 and satellites falling from the sky. So sometimes we buy into race consciousness without even realizing it. We can become addicted to negativity about many things happening in the world. So we encourage that to treat yourself as good as you do your car. And now I get my oil changed every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Faithfully, treat yourself at least that good. Because you're here for the long haul. The soul's going on and on, whether your body's here or not. So you might as well get it right this time around. Get it right this time around. So I'd like to end with a reading from Science of Mind on page 526 about the light of heaven. The light of heaven shines through me and illumines my path. The light eternal is my guide and my protection. In that light, there is no darkness. It is perfect light, shining from the altar of perfect love. O light and love within me, thou art welcome. This light now shines through me and illumines my way. And so it is. Happy New Year.